Hello, my name is Frank, and I'm here to talk to you about minimum wage and why minimum wage should be $15 an hour. I'm going to talk to you today about where minimum wage started, where it is, and why at the current rate it is a failure. So, where did minimum wage come from? Well, minimum wage was first signed into law in 1938 by President Franklin D. Roosevelt as part of the Fair Labor Standard Act. The first minimum wage was 25 cents an hour. In 2009, minimum wage was increased to its current rate of $7.25 an hour. So over 70 years, minimum wage has only increased $7. That's $1 a decade. Now, by comparison, the cost of living in the United States since the end of World War II has increased on average 5% a year. So you can see that there is a huge disparity in the cost of living compared to the required wage for every American citizen. Now let's take a look at a smaller snapshot of that. Since 1989, if minimum wage had increased at the same rate of the cost of living, we would be making $21.37 an hour. Now, had minimum wage been increased at the same rate that corporate executives paid themselves in bonuses over the last 5 years, minimum wage would be over $3,000 an hour. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that minimum wage should be $3,000 an hour. But is $7.25 an hour really acceptable? Comparatively, the United States ranks 11th in the world in minimum wage. That red line in the middle, that's the US. We rank dead last in industrial nations on what we are required to pay our citizens to work. Australia, interestingly enough, ranks number 1 at $15.43 an hour. So, what does $7.25 an hour actually equal? Well, a full-time employee earning minimum wage would make annually $15,080. Now, the poverty line in the United States is $14,320. So minimum wage pays just above the poverty line. Now, you're probably wondering why I've brought up the poverty line. Poverty is not a problem in the United States. Well, not a big problem. In researching this topic, I was really shocked by something that I discovered. Something else that America ranks dead last in industrialized nations. Of 35 nations, the United States ranks 34th in the amount of citizens that live in poverty, just ahead of Romania. 23% of Americans live at or below the poverty line. That shocked me. So, saying that a minimum wage increase is not required or is not necessary, and seeing those stats should really open your eyes. Now, we talked about what minimum wage equals annually. Now, let's take a look at how that breaks down. I did a little research at paycheckcity.com just to see what minimum wage would look like at its current rate, at the proposed rate of $10 an hour, and at my rate of $15 an hour. So currently, at $7.25 an hour, that would equal an annual salary of $15,080. A monthly salary of $1,052 before taxes, and a weekly salary of $263.10 after taxes. Now, I could not sustain my household on $263.10. Now, you're probably wondering why I mentioned sustaining a household. Many people believe that minimum wage earners are teenagers or youngsters living at home making their first job. Did you know that the average age of a fast food worker making minimum wage is 29? And almost half of them sustain a household of 2 or more. So let me ask you a question. $263 to sustain a household of 2 or possibly more? Is that possible? Obviously, the answer is no. So what do? People living in poverty, what do we do to supplement their income? Well, we subsidize it with social programs, Medicaid, food stamps, earned income tax credit. Those are all subsidized by the government and taxpayers to make up the difference in what Americans need to afford the cost of living compared to what they're paid. Now, ironically, the amount that it comes up to once the household is subsidized, on average, is $15.04 an hour. So a $15 an hour minimum wage is not a ridiculous statement based on those facts. So I said that I did a little bit more research, and I want to show you what else I uncovered. If minimum wage were increased to $10 an hour, it would equal $20,080 an annual salary, $1,733 a month before taxes, about $433 a week after taxes. Now that is an improvement, but it's still not enough to sustain a household. So the subsidies would continue in order to keep Americans able to afford groceries and all the necessities that they need to live on. So let's take a look at the magic number that I've come up with and see not only what it means to the wage earner, but what it actually means to the economy and to retailers. At $15 an hour, the yearly salary would be $31,200. $2,600 a month before taxes, $507.97 a week after taxes. With that extra income, Americans would be able to spend more money. What other effects would that have on the economy? 1.5 million Americans would rise above the poverty level literally overnight. 180,000 jobs would be created within the first 6 months. The gross domestic product would increase nearly $12 billion in the first year. Retail sales would grow $2.5 billion annually, and it would only cost Americans 18 cents per transaction to offset the rise in minimum wage. So, again, a $15 an hour minimum wage is not a ridiculous statement. $15 an hour would benefit every American. It would put more money in the economy. It would reduce the amount of money the government would have to spend to subsidize income. So I invite all of you to look as deeply as I did into this and get behind the initiative to raise minimum wage so that every American can make a wage that they can live on. Thank you.